It is May the 30th in 2020. It's all 9A. And been rained out for the last few days, so I never got to finish doing the other part of the garden. So I'm doing it today, as far as I can get through it. And I'm still growing my rattlesnake pole beans here. And then I have my shade gardens that go all the way around my garden and my chicken yard. And here is what the garden is looking like on May 30th. A lot of changes have happened. We got beans, green beans, pole beans, and bush beans growing, green and purple tomatillos, more bush beans growing along the back. Still got some carrots in this bed here. A few more onions left in here with some mint and some radishes. I'm going to pull out those radishes this weekend, hopefully, and plant beans. Plant some more either Cherokee wax, golden wax, or dragon tongues in there. And then here we have a Abe Lincoln beefsteak with some Vidalia onions. And then here we have a Lola banana pepper. And then this bed here has a couple of suckers that I rerouted. And then a Paul Robeson, a Napa Chardonnay, San Marzano, and a climbing triple crop. And then down through the center we got a couple of Clemson spineless okra and a pepper plant, which I believe is a Mad Hatter. And then I have where I've started digging out to plant some more okra plants. I just started some jambalaya okra seeds, so they're almost ready to go into the garden. Just give you a quick look of what everything looks like right now in the rest of the garden. And then we'll start over here, since we didn't get to this section last time. In the front, by the gate, there is some purple whole peas. And then in this garden here, I have tomatoes. And I've got climbing triple crop, sweetie tomatoes, Napa Chardonnays, and a Dr. Witchy. And then down below, I have Clemson spineless okra, one of the Bubba Bush hybrid okras, and some Vidalia onions. And then in this tire I have some of the Rutgers determinate tomatoes, which always do well for me. They're the only determinants I've ever grown in spring and summer. I usually grow those in the I grow determinants mainly in the fall, and in the spring and summer I do heirloom and determinants. But I always grow Rutgers. So down here you can see I got some okra, a little baby okras coming up. And then right here I have a chocolate stripe tomato and another Rutgers. And then in this bed I've just replanted, still got my carrots here. Still got a few of the bush beans, the royalty purples, that have not died from the mosaic virus and slugs eating them, so I haven't pulled those out yet. But I have replanted this bed. My Romanesco broccoli is still here, and you can see it's still huge, but it's starting to head up. There's a head right there. So I'm just leaving it in here, and I use the leaves that doesn't look so good. When I prune them, I feed them to my rabbits and stuff like that. So I'm just letting them stay in here. See if they will head up. I've got Blue Bayou pumpkins planted in here from Hall's Tools. I've never grown those, so I'm excited about that. These are brown Crowder peas. More Crowder peas. Back there in that little niche is some sunflowers. One of my friends got a sunflower from the picked flower section of the farmer's market and brought me one, and we divided the seeds up and planted them. In here I have some couple of Eclipse patty pans in the front, and then in the back I have which I intend on trying to grow, doing a trellis on the fence back here, but the Santa Ana butternut squash, which is a Haas Tools hybrid between the Seminole pumpkin and the Waltham butternut. So it's supposed to have a lot more disease resistance package to it, so I am excited to try that. Coming here, I got a little row of peppers, tomatoes, and squash. There is a Juliet tomato. This is my zucchini squash. I've been getting zucchini off of, still fighting the vine borers. Not sure, this one here looks like it might be coming out soon, but I'm still working on it. We're still getting a few squash here and there. So in this bed we have yellow bell peppers and Jimmy Nardello peppers, which I grew from seed. The yellow bell pepper seed I actually got from a store-bought bell pepper, and they germinated very well. These are purple jalapenos, and also in here I have a California Wonder bell pepper, and this is my first time growing purple jalapenos, so I'm really excited about those. And here is a chive that I've been growing for a long time, my key lime tree, some of my sunflowers, and then this bed used to be broccoli and now it is watermelons. So we've got a couple of tender sweet orange. I had the whole bed planted in tender sweet orange, but my dog dug them up, so I was left with one. And then I had another later one germinate later, so I've got two of those in here, and then the rest of them are crimson sweets. Back here I have purple onions and two purple eggplant. One is a round eggplant, maybe an amethyst, from last year, and the other one is a new one, is the Ichabod skinny eggplant, and then there's one Scotch bonnet plant in here. And in this bed here is my habaneros. There's a couple in here. I just picked all my peppers this morning. This is my ghost pepper because I'm about to go in there and make jelly, habanero or Scotch bonnet jelly with apples. So apple, Scotch bonnet, pepper jelly. And then in this bed I pulled up these beans, and they were all getting diseased and eaten by snails, so I planted some more of those Eclipse patty pan squash from Haas Tools. And then here is my Cangren bush lima beans, which they seem to be, I thought they were bush, but they seem to be climbing a little bit. And then here on the bottom here I have Christmas limas growing up beside. And then these three, I'm going to step back so you can see. These three beds here were potatoes, and I ended up pulling out almost 90 pounds of potatoes out of these three beds, which were around 2x8, 2x9 beds. And I also had 6-7 gallon grow bags, and I got 90 pounds of potatoes out of those. And so those are gone, and now I have Beauregard sweet potatoes in here, and then I have a couple of slips, and I have one in here of the ones that I saved from last year, which I had a mixture of purple and white and orange sweet potatoes that I grew last year from Etsy that I got slips from. And so that's one of the ones of mine that I saved, but they're in the house and I'm slipping them in the house, they just aren't ready yet. But this whole row here is Beauregard except for a couple of them. And then this whole row here is Honeydew Melons and Hale's Best Cantaloupe. And there's also one Sugar Baby watermelon at the very end, you can see down there. And they are starting to also get the mildew, which all my squash are just being killed off by the mildew. It's everything. It's vine borers, it's mildew, it's just everything. Here I have some peaches and cream corn. And then here I have 2 rows of peaches and cream and 1 row of the trucker corn. The trucker corn is more of a grinding corn, I guess you would say. This is my dwarf patty pan squash, and it is pretty much on its last leg. It does have a couple of baby fruits on there, but here is where my acorn squash was, and I did get about at least 9 acorn squash off here, maybe 10, and there's still 1 plant in there that has 1 ripening fruit on it that I left in there, but I pulled all the rest of them out this morning, and we'll get ready to plant something else there. And then here's my spaghetti squash, which is going down the same road, but it has 2 fruits on it. You can see a fruit right there, and then there's another one down here, and so that's what's hanging on it. I keep feverishly pruning it and fertilizing it, trying to keep it alive, but I think that is pretty much a lost cause. And then here you can see our grapevines. These are muscadine grapes. One of them is a red muscadine, the other one's scuppernong. And this will be the first year that we've had grapes. If we get any, I'm just looking to see if there are any grapes. But there's some grapes. We may get grapes this year for the first time since we've lived at this property. We had a Carlos vine at our other property that just took off immediately and did so well. And then here is our first little pumpkin growing here. I don't want to pull him too hard, but that is from our pumpkins. So I'm inside of the grape trellis, and here is my squash and pumpkin bed, and there's actually butternut squash in here. There's a few of them, probably at least 4, and then you can see there's a baby butternut there, and then I have a few more that I've already covered with pantyhose to try and protect them from the pickle worms eating them, or any other type of worm eating them. There's one right here. So there's about at least 3 or 4 butternut squash. These are the Walthams, just your standard variety. There's one right there, and then there's that pumpkin. There's a pumpkin here, and then there's a pumpkin here, which are probably, these 2 are probably jack-o'-lanterns. I found one in my chicken yard, and I found one growing beside my patio, and it was really small, and I transplanted it not knowing if it was a cantaloupe or a pumpkin, but it turned out to be a pumpkin. And so that's what we got in here. And then we have several Crookneck Squash in here, which I heavily pruned them this morning. I'm going to fertilize them in the morning again to see what happens. Not really thinking I'm going to get, this is my yellow zucchini right here. He had one on him and it got eaten. And so I don't know how much longer we're going to get squash, but I'm hoping that my pumpkins and my butternut squash hold out. Here's my berry bed that I've been working on forever, at least a year. Finally got it pretty much established, got water and irrigation to it now. So I planted 3 blueberry bushes, 2 powder blues, and 1 rabbit eye. And I've been picking berries off of them. They were about that size when I bought them, and they are happy. And the berries that were on them have continued to ripen. And here I have a Freedom Blackberry, and these 2 are Sweetie Pie blackberries that I got to get in the ground tomorrow. Right here I have a Willamette raspberry bush that I put in the ground. And then here I have another acorn squash, and it's been a lot slower. It never took off like the other ones did. But I think it may end up outlasting them and coming back and doing better, because it's been able to fight the viruses and so on. So we may still get acorn squash off this guy. This is 2 more of the green zucchinis that I've been getting zucchinis off of, and when I cut them back last weekend and fertilized them, they got a lot of new growth, cut a lot more of the stuff off of them. So today I'm going to spray again and try to fertilize them again and see if we can get some more squash. It's just day by day with the squash right now. And then I took these two out. These two tomatoes were done. A mystery tomato and the other one was a Black Beauty. And I popped in a Wolverine and a sucker, which I don't know what kind this is because it was a sucker that I rooted. But that's why these older ones, I keep pruning them, but they keep getting blight. So I have my later start still, several of them on standby to pop in when these, give out. Here's a Paul Robeson I've been picking off of. This one is a Kellogg's Breakfast, which I've yet to pick a Kellogg's Breakfast, but there is some big guys here, a cluster of them there, a new cluster here. So it's got some fruit on it, but I think it just takes a little longer, maybe because they get bigger. And down at the bottom, I've popped in some Mad Hatter peppers and some Jimmy Nardello peppers that I had extra. And then here's the Dr. Witchy, which has a bunch of tomatoes on it. And then right here is my blueberry clackamus that's next to my sprinkler that kind of gotten beat up from the beginning. And then here is my store-bought Rama seeds that I saved a couple years ago from a store-bought, and it's got several tomatoes on it. And then this is another Kellogg's Breakfast. And then next to it, I have, well, that's the same. That's two different things, but it's the same plant. It's just got two different vines going to it. And this is just a regular old beefsteak tomato. And then here I had 3 cantaloupe going on this one, but this is actually a Armenian cucumber that I had popped in and forgotten about. I've already got a cucumber off of it. But it's doing good. But I had 3 cantaloupes on this Sorrentus, and you can see the mosaic is killing it. I might just go ahead and rip it out. I had worms eat 2 of the cantaloupe, and the other one ended up on the other side of the fence and got eaten by chickens. So I may just go ahead and rip out this cantaloupe and call it a loss. So here I have some Black Beauty, and you don't see any ripe fruit on here because I've already picked them all this morning. We've had rain for the last couple days, so we've had a lot, and I just don't ever have time to do everything at once. So Paul Robeson, blueberry clackamus, and then we have Black Beauty, and then this is some kind of pepper plant that I planted. I don't remember which one it is. And then we can go this way through the tunnel, and you can see the back side of this bed down the middle. Got more purple onions planted in fall. This is a bear paw tomato, first time growing it. Got it free with some other seeds. And then this is a Black Prince, and I also got that free with some other seeds. I think I bought some Paul Robesons, and they gave me the bear paws and the Black Princes for free last year, and it was too late for me to plant them last year, so ended up planting the Paul Robesons and the bear paws and the Black Prince this year. And then here's a two Fuego jalapenos that I had started, and then there's the 2 small Brussels sprouts that are trying to come back and do something. And then on this guy here, I have a Black Beauty and a fire feather, which I picked a bunch off this morning. And then we picked the corn out of here, and I planted spaghetti squash in there. So there's a couple of spaghetti squash and a couple of sunflowers, a Lola banana pepper. Back here I have another yellow squash that is trying to hold on. I keep pruning it. We'll see how it goes. It's Coleus that I grew from seed in the springtime. And I have a San Marzano paste tomato back here, and then an azoicha back here. So that's my first time growing azoicha. It's like a medium round yellow tomato, and it is very delicious. I love it. So I'll probably be growing that from now on. Here's a little bed that used to have carrots in it that I planted cucumbers in. And then here is my cucumbers. And I have an Armenian right here on the side, which is doing better than any of the rest of them. And then I have munchers and pickling cucumbers in here. But I have been fighting the pickle worms and the with a little one right there, and the mildew like you wouldn't believe on these. So just get a few here and there. And then right here I have a fire feather Roma tomato. It's stretched out from here to there, and it's just loaded with tomatoes. And I got a Cherokee purple right here. I just picked the first one off of it today.